Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry that this video is going up a day late. I was away this past weekend, so I went away with my boyfriend from Sunday to Monday. So I didn't have a chance to film. I got home late last night. So I'm doing it right now. I haven't listened to the episode yet so I could film my reactions as I always do. I moved scenery. I usually sit at my desk, like my vanity, but I decided I want to be a little relaxed today. So I'm at the couch in my room. This is like my Riverdale corner. I have my Riverdale calendar, and then I have my signed picture of the core 4 that my boyfriend got me for our first Christmas, because he's a supportive boyfriend of my love for SPROUSE, which is very helpful. But here we go. This is episode 4 of Borrasca. I can't believe we've been listening to this for a month already. It feels like yesterday. We just started this ride, and we're just still finding out more answers about this story. I want to talk about this week a little bit. On Wednesday, I'm going to do another ranking video. I'm going to do my top 10 season 2 episodes. I would rank the entire thing, but as we all saw, that the 13 episodes of season 1, I had an hour and a half worth of footage and I cut it down to a half hour. I don't like long videos really, just because I feel like people lose interest. So I wanted to keep it nice and short. So I'm going to do my top 10 season 2 episodes. It's going to be really hard to narrow it down. I enjoy season 2. And then we will do on Thursday, I'll finally review the pilot. Like I'll rewatch the pilot. That one's gonna be like the full thing, because I'm gonna like put the entire pilot there and I'm gonna, react to it. Just be like, oh. So that one's gonna be a long one, so I don't want too many long videos this week. Before we start this Borrasca episode, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and you follow me at Instagram and Twitter. All that stuff is below and at the end. But without further ado, here is Borrasca episode 4. The $1 million question. Whoa. That episode had so much information about this mystery. It's insane. We are gonna start. I'm still not over it. Okay. I have like 3 pages of notes, so here we go. At the top, we obviously start with adult Sam, right? And he's in the nightmare. We hear the nightmare, and it just sounds like a Borrasca party, truly. And Eric wakes him up, and he's screaming about the shiny gentleman. And Eric is like, dude, what is this about? And he goes, don't worry about it. And he's like, it's just the therapy, it's getting to my brain, and which is going into my sleep, which is fair. Eric is still giving him pee, which is shocking, especially after last week when he's like, I want to help you, like, get clean, like, I'm not going to do this anymore. But he still does. Then we're at the parole officer, though, like, the meetings, the therapy sessions. And the urine came back positive. And Sam goes, for what? And she goes, that's concerning. But it was for weed, which it was a violation of his parole, but she logged the test as negative because, like, that's the least of her worries, is weed. It's more of the heroin and any other hard drugs. So she locks the test as negative, so that way it keeps his parole, so that way they can keep going, and he didn't violate his parole, and he's, like, really grateful for it. I think this is, like, it was, like, sort of like a turning point. He's like, no, I actually, like, want to end this, So when we go back to 17-year-old Sam, they're at the Borrasca party. They're getting ready for it. They don't tell anyone where they're going. They pick Kimber up where she's babysitting, and they're like, oh no, we're just hanging out at home. Like, there's no plans. Sam goes and talks to Emmeline. He asks her out. She says yes. That's just a little like side plot. It was like a huge thing last week's episode, but now it's just like a side plot, which was interesting. So they're going to a graduation party together. Then we find out that Kyle's little brother is there, and this part made me laugh. He's 14, and this was his fourth Borrasca party, and he's having sex with the junior when the other two are virgins, and they were like, "What?" Like it was hilarious. It was one of my favorite moments of the episode, like funny wise. Then we find out that the history presenter, so the one who does all the presentations on the history of the town, is at the Borrasca party, and she's like in her 40s. And she tells them about the women in white, on how there's usually 3 girls get picked, and it's usually girls. Like, they've never seen a guy get picked. And then they come back, and they never talk about it. So then Sam asks about the McCaskey kids that in the mines, and then the mines, like, got exploded, you know, remember that? It's all come back. The investigation ended after 2 days. So they had... these people went missing, and only 2 days investigation, they were like, nope, it's done, let's blow it up. And the Prescotts rebuilt the town, and now at this point the town is poor, like no one has money. So they're like, where did the Prescotts get this money? And they're like, that's something you have to ask Jimmy Prescott. Then they go down and find out who gets picked. And last week I said I thought Emily was going to get picked. I was close. Kimber gets picked. Kimber and 2 other girls get picked. So the women in white, they have white robes and black masks. And Kyle and Sam try to stop her. They're like, don't go. And she goes, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. They want to wait by the treehouse, but Saunders says that they kick people out and they don't want people there. So they tell her that they're going to wait by the mile marker 1 boulder. So as they're like walking and they're talking about it, this creepy guy comes up. And he's at all the parties. And he says that he saw Whitney get picked. So we know Whitney got picked. And then Sam is fighting him. Like, literally, like, full on, like, serpent jughead. Like, you know, holding him up. And it's like, what do you mean? Da, 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 da. Like, what happened? How long after did she go missing? And he goes, it was like a month or less. So they're like, fuck this, we have to go find Kimber now, because she's gonna go missing then, or she has a chance. Then Kyle, Sam, and Saunders go up the mountain to find Kimber, and they see, so then they're hiding behind like these trees, and they see 3 men dressed in black robes, and they figured out it's men. Well, Sam figures out it's men by their height. They're like so much taller than everyone else, and they're in black robes, so it's like the opposite of the women in white. And also they see blood on the girl's hands. And then the ladies start to bring them back down. So they run back down to meet them by the boulder, to meet Kimber by the boulder, because that's where they told her that they'd meet her. And then Kimber comes back, like meets them at the boulder, and she's like, that was so weird. And she goes, I'll tell you guys about it in the car. So they get in the car, and they find out that they take a blood sample from her finger. A man pointed at her. One of the 3 men pointed at her. She said it was the one on the left. Then pricked the finger, and it was like if they were testing the blood, like put it on something so they could test it. And they come back down the mountain, and the women in white are like, you cannot talk about this with anyone, or it would be the end. And she said that one girl was like, oh, I'm telling my boyfriend. And, you know, Kimber now told Sam and Kyle. And she thinks that Jimmy Prescott is one of the men. So Kyle was like, I'm going to go talk to Jimmy Prescott tomorrow. And Kimber's like, no, I think we have a better chance of talking to Tom Prescott, the father, who's in, you know, they say insane asylum or hospice, whatever. And they go the next day after school. They come up with this nice little plan, like story, that Kimber is his niece, Sam is her boyfriend, and Kyle is her brother. And they have a nice little like quip going back and forth about why Sam is more believable to be a boyfriend rather than a brother versus Kyle, who's her actual boyfriend. And it's so funny. I've been seeing on Twitter a lot that people are like shipping Sam and Kimber, and I low-key am too, but I'm also kind of fine with Kimber and Kyle. So when they go up there, the nurse is like, nope, no one's allowed in except for Jimmy Prescott and Killian Cleary, who's a retired sheriff of the town. But she says the form expired 2 months ago, and I honestly don't care, so you guys can go. They go in there, and they're still sticking to their story. Like, she's like, I'm still your niece, whole 9 yards. And this is where it gets, like, really confusing, because when someone with dementia and is not all there, when they talk, it gets a little confusing. So he wants to be called Mr. Prescott. He doesn't want to be called Tom or anything like that. And he doesn't approve of what Jimmy is doing. I think of how he's, like, running the town and rebuilding the town. And then he talks about how the Prescotts and McCaskies are related. So McCaskey's blood. And they kept taking the money, you know, from Tom to rebuild. Like, that's all it was about. It was like, how much money can he put into it? And they were re-electing Cleary as sheriff. And then he mentioned something about this powder, but it wasn't really powder. It was like a paste. It was like this white powder. And then he starts, like, freaking out. And then they keep hounding him with questions. Like, Sam starts going at him. Like, what about the skin men? And he's like, what are you talking about? Whole 9 yards. So he freaks out on them. The 3 of them get kicked out. And they're like, never come back. So Sam in the car now is like, I want to find out more information. Like I need to find out more. And Kyle's like, dude, it's not worth it. And Kimber's like, I'll help Sam, but I want to make sure that this isn't, like, an obsession. Like, when is it going to, like, because if you're obsessed with this, it's not going to stop. Like, you're never going to find the answers. Like, we know you want to find out what happened to Whitney, but, like, to what extent are you going to go? And Kimber gets a call from her dad that her mom is in the hospital. And she, like, he won't tell her why, he won't tell her how, and just, like, she's so worried. And I don't blame her. Like if my dad wasn't telling me, I'd be like, what is happening? So they start driving and to the hospital, and Sam is driving, and they get into a car accident. So then we go back to adult Sam, and he said that a car sideswiped him and knocked them off the road. And that's when he got a shoulder injury. So they said it was like a rotator cuff, which hurts. You usually need surgery for it to repair it. And that's when he was put on Oxy. So oxycodone, it's an opioid, which is usually when drug addiction starts, because it's so hard to get off of it. You get addicted so quickly. But he goes, that's not where my heroin addiction started. And she goes, that's what's in your file. And he goes, I lied. Like, I totally lied. And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, they only gave me 25 pills, no refills. And he goes, I only took 8 of them. And she goes, how did you deal with the pain? He goes, I was busy and I got distracted. So that means while he was still going through stuff, like through all this Borrasca party and Whitney stuff, while is what I got from it. So then she gets a call from her daughter, and they need to end the session, but they're going to go to like the day after. And he's like, great. And then the end is the usual, you know, he goes back home. He yells at Eric about not telling him about the pee being not 100% clean. And then he goes into his bedroom, and he starts getting high, but I heard distantly in the background a knock at the door. I think it's the front door, so I think it's like that girl who keeps coming back that's my theory. So now, oh my god, I did all of that in like 10 minutes. Woo! That's pretty good. It's not theories. So I hear the distant knocking. I don't know if everyone else did. And so I think it's gonna be like that girl that's like keeps coming. And I honestly, at this point, I think it's Kimber. I don't think it's anyone else but Kimber. Now here comes like my big theory. And like while I was watching it, I was like, while I was listening to it, I said, I have a theory. And it goes to when Tom Prescott said McCaskey's blood. Like, so what I think is that they're testing these girls to see if they're a McCaskey or a Prescott. I think they're testing their blood. Because, like, why else would you? And then if they talk to anyone about it, it'd be the end. That means if they're talking to people, like, that's when they go missing. Obviously, that explains itself. But I don't know. this was like a lot of information, but it's sort of like repetitive information too. We're halfway through, so there's gonna be 4 more episodes of Borrasca. Let me look at my calendar. So yesterday was the 15th, so we have the 22nd, 29th, the 6th, and the 13th. So July 13th is when it's all going to be over. It's kind of sad that we're halfway through, but that means I just have to come up with more content for you guys. So once again, so it's Tuesday now that this video will be up. That means tomorrow my top 10 season 2 episodes will be up. I'm going to film that later today after I edit and post this video. So that way I can get that up at a reasonable time tomorrow, because last week's I got up at like 11 o'clock because I filmed it that day and then it took too long because it was an hour worth of footage to go through. But yeah, I'm so excited. And then Thursday I'm going to put up my pilot reaction / review. I'll see how I'm going to do that. I haven't figured it out yet. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Borrasca's turning out really good. It's not that creepy. I thought it was gonna be a little bit creepier. I'm not, but I also listen to it at like 8 o'clock in the morning, so that way I don't get scared. Make sure you like this video, you comment your thoughts, your theories. I want to hear and read them all. And subscribe to my channel. Make sure you ding that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post a video, which is usually about 3 times, hopefully 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week I'll post a video. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All those things are below. And I think that's it. So, without further ado, make sure you stay weird, Riverheads.